Hello everyone, welcome to our emergency response visual report presentation. In today's presentation, we will explore and analyze the issue of flooding hazards in Wilcannia region. The first part is secondary research, and I will use 6 ways to resolve this question. First one, risk assessment and management. Identify and assess flood risks to develop strategies for mitigation and management. Second, integrated water resources management. Coordinate water resource development for sustainable flood management. Third, multi-criteria decision analysis. Evaluate and prioritize flood response options based on multiple criteria. Fourth, community-based disaster risk reduction. Involve local communities in identifying and implementing flood response measures. Fifth, geographic information system and remote sensing. Use spatial data to analyze flood hazards and design response measures. Sixth, climate change adaptation. Incorporate adaptive measures to address the impacts of climate change of flooding. And the next part, in this question, I will example 5 different areas of design how to addressing this issue. Architecture, the floating village in Cambodia, which uses floating houses and infrastructure to adapt to frequent flooding. Industrial design, portable emergency shelters with foldable structures and lightweight materials for quick deployment and easy transportation. Textile design, flame-resistant and durable textiles used in the design of firefighter suits and emergency blankets. Graphic design, clear and intuitive signage systems for emergency exits, evacuation routes, and safety instruction in public spaces. Interactive design, mobile applications and platforms that provide real-time updates on emergency alerts, evacuation routes, and safe zones. This is the second part, site analysis. I will answer the first question in this part. Wilcannia experiences a semi-arid climate with hot summers and mild winters. So the design should address the challenges of extreme heat, flash floods, droughts, and dust storms. Strategies can include shading, natural ventilation, and energy-efficient cooling for hot summers, proper stormwater management, drainage, and rainwater harvesting can mitigate flash flood risks. Water-efficient technologies and drought-resistant landscaping can combat water scarcity.
Analyze the topography of the site to identify low-lying areas and where water flow concentrates. Based on this information, a suitable drainage system is designed to ensure that the accumulated water can be quickly removed in the event of a flood to reduce the impact of the flood on the site, and to determine the accessibility and safety of roads and passages during floods. The design may have some impact on the original natural ecology, such as plants, birds, so the design should take into account not to destroy the original natural ecology. Important trees, vegetation, and habitat should be preserved to ensure they continue to provide habitat and food resources. The design also needs to take into account other natural disasters, such as tornadoes, and other damage to the site and buildings. Therefore, the design is not limited to the problem of flooding. The measures such as rain and earthquake resistance can be taken in the design to increase the resistance of the building. In view of the problem of fire in Australia, the design should consider taking preventive measures such as fire protection belts, fireproof materials, and fire extinguishing systems to reduce the hazards of fire to the site.
Okay, let's move on to my section. Next, I will let you through an occupant analysis. It will be derived into the 4 sections, which are history and heritage, education and language, culture and arts, beliefs and rituals. Volcania have a population of the 745 in the 2016 census, the majority of whom were Aboriginal Australians. The area lies in the traditional lands of the Bakanjin people, who call the river Bakar. The name Volcania is said to be derived from an indigenous term for the adder gap in the bank, where the flow water escape or the wild dog. Neither means have been linguistically verified. The Bakanji developed along the Darling River from the Volcania downstream almost to Awanka. The history of the area is very old, even dating back of the thousands of years. The Bakanji people have been living on the banks of the Darling River for about 40,000 years before the arrival of the Europeans. Later in the 1850s, many pastoralists settled in the area. Volcania was officially declared a town in the June 1866 and became a municipality in the 1881. By the mid-1880s, Volcania was a burning point with the 13 hotels, a population of 3,000, and a local newspaper, the Volcania Times, in the late 1880s. Volcania was the third largest port on the Darling River, and at that time it was known as the Queen City of the West. Well, when opals were discovered in the White Cliffs in the 1890s, the river trade increased. Volcania became the supply depot for the opal miners. Eventually, as road and rail traffic increased the steamer trade, the town's importance declined. In the 2012, Volcania became an adult literacy campaign, and is estimate that 40% of the Aboriginal people are illiterate. And next, two of the better known school in the area are Volcania Central School and Sirius Community Parish School. Volcania School is a dedicated community provide a dynamic education for all students, instilling a lifelong love of the learning and growing the leaders of the tomorrow. This school, the Bakanji language is embedded in the everyday communication and the Volcania Central School. One of the strengths of the Catholic education in the Volcania Forbes Diocese is the diversity of the students. It reflects the diversity of the life in the Western New South Wales, and the curriculum embraces this. It takes into account each student's strengths, learning needs, their cultural and language background, learning disability, and difficulties, as well as individual students' attitudes and abilities. This above is my current research analysis. Thanks.
And in inhabitant analysis, I will answer this question by some researches. Flooding in Volcania can lead to displacement, homelessness, limited access to services, health risks, social vulnerability, and cultural heritage threats. Design can address this by providing flood-resistant shelters, resilient infrastructure, continuous access to essential services, improved sanitation, inclusivity, and cultural heritage preservation measures. By considering these factors, the design aimed to mitigate the impact of flooding, protect human rights, and create a safe, accessible, and inclusive environment for the inhabitants of Vulcania.
After our research, the Vulcania region may face the challenge of insufficient infrastructure and public service. This can have a negative impact on the rights and well-being of residents. Therefore, our main research direction is to meet the basic living needs of local residents and at the same time ensure that residents can be given certain protection when disaster is coming. Designs can focus on improving and expanding infrastructure such as water, electricity, educational institutions. This is all the research results of our team. Thank you for watching.